Bruno Zupan's studio here in Columbus, Georgia, in beautiful Midtown Columbus. And it's so good to see you.
Wonderful.
So this is fun to see you here in Columbus because a couple years ago, Roberta and I got to go to Majorca and see you and Jane in your home there and your studio there.
It was lovely.
And your home there was built, you said, like in the 15th century. And so now you built the studio about 20 years ago, and you can come here any time of the day and paint and listen to music and relax and then just enjoy this space back here. So I see you've got one you're working on here on this easel.
I'm retouching. I painted that in Majorca, and I'm just putting a few highlights on it. It was done, you know, when you work directly in the spot, you work very quickly because things are changing and light is changing very quickly. So sometimes, not very often, I bring the painting to studio and just retouch.
And just kind of retouch it.
Very few things. Yeah.
And like this one over here, you're tell me about the butterflies. So you're retouching that and painting and adding, and then you've got a 23 karat gold background.
Well, I'm trying to create something in transparency.
Okay.
So when I'm retouching this is drying, so I can go with the colors on top to create this transparent feeling, superpositions.
Okay, so is that common where you're working on several paintings at one time?
Normally only on one.
Okay.
But this is special because I cannot continue working until the underpaint dries.
I see.
So when this is drying, you know, I'm busy with something else. So in the long run, I can create this superposition on it.
And then I can see your little inspiration over here for the butterflies.
Yeah.
So
well, it's just for the colors.
For the colors, yes.
Here I'm creating the movement and excitement.
And then what I'd like to do is go on the other side of your studio and see some of your paintings that you've got that you're getting ready to ship off to Boston. So over on this side of the studio, you've got some of your paintings that you're getting ready to send to Boston for your show starting. Yes. When does your show start?
It's beginning of, actually end of April, 25th, 26th of April is opening. But they're putting show already in the beginning of April. Okay. We have very good followers and collectors, so they want to see the show even before they open. And
so like this one is a scene of Boston in the winter, and tell me the name of this park.
It's a street, one of the most beautiful street in Boston.
That's beautiful. And you said you even touched up, you even painted the frame to blend in with the painting?
I have this frame made by Artisans in Spain. Mm-hmm. It's all hand carved wood. It was all in gold leaf, and I just painted and scratched the whole frame to go with the painting.
Wow. And then once we move over to on this side, you've got, these are also going to Boston, correct?
Yes, yes.
The Field of Flowers, you said, was at the Swarovskis'
it was
home in Majorca?
My friend Donna, he just threw a lot of seeds there. And the one day she called me, she said, you should come to my garden, and there's some explosion of flowers happening, you know.
Just all sorts of wild
flowers. It was one portion I just painted. They were like blowing gently on the wind against the green background.
And then tell us about the one next to it.
This I painted in autumn.
In Majorca.
In Majorca. Okay. It was autumn leaves. Also this poetical feeling of leaves just floating around the trees. And
then here, once again, you add some of
It's a little bit of gold leaf.
Gold leafing in there.
The very 23 karat gold leaf, just to give the feeling of light and then the gold to the leaves. And
then tell us about your frames, because the frames are works of art just like your paintings.
Well, I have very fine artisan in Italy and Spain, and they make my frames. And I frame every painting by necessity of to go very well with the painting. So I choose my own frames, and I don't like galleries or anybody else to frame my work. Unfortunately, there's so few of those artisans left because very modern contemporary art doesn't use much frame.
Doesn't use, I see.
So a lot of this.
Well, that's a good point. Now you're kind of seeing, yes, paintings with a very thin frame or no frame at all.
Or
yes.
no frame at all.
You're right.
And, you know, most of those artisans are very sad because one after another one is just closing the business. You know, fashion, time change, and minimalism, it's leading now the fashion. And,
yes. Over here we've got some more again for the Boston. So here's another floral that was painted at the Swarovski's Wildflower Field,
Right.
which is going to Boston.
Yes.
And you've got a blue background compared to more of a green on the other one.
It was perspective of frog, you know, looking up.
Okay, of a frog.
Of the frog,
Oh, cute.
Yeah. And then I was practically on the floor looking up to the sky. So I can create more the gentle movement of the flowers with it. You see, that's another composition of butterflies.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
But a different
Mixed in with the
movement.
wildflowers. Oh,
Yes.
that's beautiful.
You see, that's totally different what Emily has.
Mm-hmm. And once again, you've got a gold background
Yes,
with the gold
it's-
leafing is what you start off with first.
Complete background is done with the gold leaf. It's, you know, I'm very much inspired with the Greece, old Greece, going back to the classics
Okay.
and Byzantine art. And that brings me back this.
That's
kind
right, because at Byzantine art they use a lot of all the
Right.
the gold on the background and the
Yes.
paint on
I
top of
work
it.
a lot in the Venice, and
Oh,
if you go to San Marco, there's so much.
Okay, we have to
inside.
find a Venice painting of yours in here, which I'm sure is not going to be hard. All right, so you just went kind of behind the scenes a little bit and pulled out these three incredible panels that are almond trees
Yes.
painted in Majorca, and then they're meant to be framed kind of butt up against each other, right?
Yes. Well, it's you know the reason I'm doing this because they don't have other big planes to ship those paintings. It's very effective to have in 3 pieces. A lot of artists they use that as effect, but my purpose is shipping mostly because it's. One time I had a big painting like this and they didn't have enough big plane, so I had to roll it up and shipped it in Rome.
So I've seen where you've painted these triptychs like this with almond trees before. Is this generally the only subject matter that you paint in the 3 sections like this and unframed?
No, there are many different things. I mean, you can do cities in trees.
So you've done the cities like this in a
You
triptych?
can do rocks in the sea.
Oh, that's right. I have seen the rocks
You
painted like
can
that.
do all field of flowers like this.
I've seen your rocks in the triptychs. Well, it's absolutely gorgeous. And this
Thank
blue, earlier you were telling us this color blue.
Well, there are 2 different blues. One is a cobalt, I use a lot, cobalt blue dark, and the other one is a French ultramarine.
French ultramarine.
Yeah.
And then once again, adding a little bit of the 23 karat gold in there to make it sparkle.
Right, just to make extra light and sparkle. But then I'm using also the royal blue too. So when I paint, I have 4 different kind of blues.
4 different kinds of
Royal blue dark and royal blue light.
And before we leave the studio, we would need to pan around on the other side where you have all your paints and brushes out, or the actual heart and soul of this studio.
Well, I don't like to cheap with the material. I use the best on the market.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're a long distance runner, there's some paintings I painted 60 years ago, and I don't want them to chip or to lose the color of it. You know, I like them to be the same like 60 years ago.
All right, that's good. So the Venice scenes are ones that you've done since you started painting,
Well,
correct?
I live in Venice for the last 60 years, always in October.
Always in October.
Yeah.
And so like this beauty, is this the Grand Canal?
Yes. No, it's a small canal the Church of Raffaello Angeli. One of the places I love to paint it.
Okay, right here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just gorgeous.
And it's more peaceful than the Grand Canal. I did a lot of paintings from Grand Canal.
And what time of the day was this painted? Is this
It was late afternoon.
late afternoon? The sky is just so pretty with the yellow and the blue still peeking out.
But I like to show you something from the Grand Canal. I forgot to put it there.
Oh, okay.
It's this.
Oh, wow. And look how different the sky is. So this, look how pretty. So this is the Grand Canal.
Yes, Grand Canal with the San Marco and then the Dash Palace and there's a Bauer Hotel. And
when you stay there in October, do you stay on the water?
Right there, you know. This place is always in the shade, so sometimes it's a little cold and unpleasant, but the light can be very, very, very beautiful.
And then your Venice paintings are ones that you paint while you're there, outside painting. You're not painting those in the studio, correct?
Majorca, Venice, I always paint outside.
You
Even
paint outside.
some Columbus painting I painted in the Columbus right outside.
And then this Venice painting over here, tell us about this one.
Well,
Where is that in Venice? Is that the same scene as the first one you showed us?
Well, it's
The same canal?
no, it's a very different canal. This canal, the Guggenheim Museum is right here on the left, and you can see the Church of Salute in the background.
Okay.
And a bunch of antique stores, and now they put some souvenir store because of the Guggenheim Museum, so people can take some reproduction or whatever.
Well, and that's nice that all your Venice paintings, you're really making an effort to paint different canals, different scenes of Venice,
Well,
just like all your other paintings.
Sometimes I walk over 10 bridges, you know, like for half an hour with everything in my hand and the easel on the back.
And does your wife come bring you lunch while you're painting?
My wife usually brings me coffee.
She brings you coffee.
She come by the end of the session and she brings me coffee, or sometimes she's there doing sketches of her own or photographs.
Okay, nice.
Things like that.
Okay. So per my request, you pulled out this scene of Majorca that brings back a lot of happy memories. Roberta and I, when we went to visit you and Jane, we went swimming here in this little bay down here, and then you and Jane were sitting here in the little restaurant waiting for us after we swam. Right. And then you picked us up, we drove up the mountains to see the Swarovskis. It was such a happy memory, happy time.
It was some of the happiest day of my life. I spent it here.
And your house is in this village too. Tell us the name of the village.
I used to have a little zodiac there, and I put my easel in the zodiac and the paints, and go to another village.
Okay.
And paint it there.
But what's the name of the village? That's this.
It's Valdemosa.
Valdemosa. Okay.
Valdemosa.
And you've had your home there for how long?
Well, I would say since 1968.
So you've seen it. You've seen the island change a lot.
Almost 60 years. Well, it's changing more in the tourist direction. Used to be.
But it still has not lost any of its
virgin, beautiful island. Something most beautiful we have ever seen in our life.
Okay, and then behind it is another scene of Majorca. So let's see that. So I've been fortunate enough to see lots of your paintings over the years, and I'm still to this day, I'm still partial to your scenes of Majorca, and particularly this is your village again, Valdemosa, and you said this was painted at the end of your street.
Yes, yes. It's very lovely, peaceful place. You can paint in so many different directions and you see something. There's a little portion of the village there, and as I said, the old lady was there taking beautiful care of the garden and the flowers.
And is this the ocean right there?
Yes.
Just a little peek of it?
Right. It's all the way going down. We are up in the mountains and going down to the big city of Palma, and that's the ocean. Just a little view
it's
of the
just
ocean.
Spectacular. And then over on this side, I love this. So when we went to visit you at your studio, this is the view out of the window of your studio looking at the church.
That's a tower of, that church was built in 12th century. And I have this old, very old boat and typical Spanish ceramic from Talavera. I was buying these pictures in order to paint them with flowers. Now the museum piece.
Museum pieces, and once again, a little part of the
Again, yes,
sea right
yes.
there that you can see.
Yeah, basically we are up in the mountains, so in the summer, when we live there, it's very fresh, nice air.
So this lovely painting, it's got a very modern frame, and it's a scene of Boston, and it's one that you're shipping off to your show. And tell us the name of the gallery up in Boston.
Gallery d'Orsay,
Okay.
like a museum Orsay.
It's just beautiful. Boston at night, all lit up, and
It's a twilight.
this is where you stay, the Ritz,
right.
when you're there.
You see, I like to paint those scenes at night because they're much more poetical.
Mm-hmm.
During the day, the colors is mostly gray and you see too many straight lines. And straight line doesn't exist in nature. It's some kind of obsession of man.
But the night sky that you've captured, and the mauves and the blues, it's just
like a twilight.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go a little more to curiosity, to poetry, to see what's behind these windows, who lives there, what they're doing to each other, so.
And then once again, just little bits of the 23 karat gold that just gives that illusion of light and sparkle,
Yes.
and just really brings the painting
The sparkle.
to life. Mm-hmm. Fun to see different subject matters. You paint like in the water, like you do the rocks in the water, and now you've got, I love this, with the fish in the water once again, and you're painted right off the coast in Valdemosa, and you had to take a little boat out, you said, to see the different fish and paint.
Well, we were on the boat and we were throwing some food, and all of a sudden all these fish appeared.
These fish come up.
And it was very, very inspiring. It was almost to me like a kaleidoscope.
Okay, yeah, here they are nibbling at all the...
You know the kaleidoscope, the children, they look in it.
Oh, it does look like, yes.
And you know, it reminds me also of human fighting for food and everything else.
Besides, we like to go swimming there. We don't like to go sit in a boat in the hot sun.
Yeah. But it was interesting subject, full of movement and the shapes.
So something like this, do you take pictures of it and then you go back to your studio and paint it and
This one I did from memory.
You did it from memory. Okay, so some you do from memory, some you do while you're outside.
Night scenes
okay.
I do from photographs.
And then some you do inside your studio.
I cannot paint it outside at night.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the colors, they look different.
Mm-hmm.
Once in Venice I painted the painting at night. I thought that was the best thing I ever did, and in the morning I destroyed the painting. The greens, they were browns,
Yeah.
everything was muddy, and I just didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it
Especially
sure is
with
beautiful.
Especially with the yellow light bulb, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You got all different colors.
Yeah, because this blue is just so pretty, that ocean blue. All right, so now these beauties that here and here, this is fun to show because these are some that you're working on now currently in the studio, correct?
Yes. It's almost like little icons. It goes back to the Byzantine style and the old Greek style. When I see the art went too far, I always like to come back to the classics.
Come back to the classics.
And to keep doors open, you know, because many times when you see certain kind of painting, you don't know how far you can go anymore.
I see.
Here, with this, you know, you keep open doors for younger generation and everybody else to continue it.
And this is fun because you've incorporated this beautiful woman with her blue eyes and the butterflies and all the 23 karat gold that you've got on the back. And then once again, these frames.
Well,
Do you paint this little detail
that
under?
was all painted, but it's imitation of a 15th century Florentine frame from Italy.
Okay.
If you go to some of Italian museums, you will see all masters, they use that kind of frame. But now with the gold being so expensive, I don't know if I'm going to order any more of those frames.
And then show us what do you have behind this one?
This is another version of our earth with flowers.
You said our earth with flowers? That's
Yes.
so pretty.
And here's the lovers in the rose with the moonlight.
With the moonlight. Oh. And are these just representing anybody in particular, or?
No, it's just general idea of flowers.
And once again, so these were all painted here in your studio in Columbus?
Yes, right here.
Well,
You know, there are many cloudy days and many times I'm tired, so I'm sitting. Normally I paint standing up, but those paintings I painted sitting down and relaxing.
and then
That
this
was
beauty.
painted in Venice.
This was painted in Venice, okay.
Yes, it's a little
And this-
little passage with a view on Giudecca. I made the tall frame to go with it.
Okay, so you made the frame to go with that.
Yeah,
I love that.
It was some industrial silver, and then I painted with the gold and used some gold leaf to go with it.
Well, I love it because you feel like you can walk right into that painting. The way
And
you.
I also paint lot in Paris. That's a little detail from the Tuileries Gardens in Paris.
Beautiful.
We
And do
used
you still spend time in Paris?
Yeah, we used to live always months of August in Paris.
Okay. Which months of the year did you generally live in Paris?
August.
August?
We run away from tourism in Majorca and it's too hot.
Okay.
So, you know, the parks are so beautiful. I do a lot of watercolors in Paris and the different kind of paintings. There are quite few of them around here.
So I wanted to end this video with a painting that he did here of Columbus, Georgia on the river overlooking Alabama, and of Bruno in his outfit that he paints in. You've got your smock.
It was very nice. It was beginning of the spring and the first blossoms, they were just coming up. If you don't know where this is,
You just
there is
don't-
a
yeah.
statue of John Amos, his head there, and it's right next to his statue looking on Alabama side. And there are all these trees, and it was just this tremendous sunset coming through the trees. So I saw the all branches of tree almost red, you know, behind the sun.
So obviously when you painted this, you had all your easel down there
Yeah,
and all that. So
yes,
I bet you
yes,
had a
yes.
large audience watching you.
Well, from time to time.
Did some of them know that
some
it was a world famous
curious people, but-
artist there?
But that was basically very, very peaceful.
Did you get people that knew who you were when you were painting?
Well, sometimes, you know. I remember I was painting downtown and there was a young black boy came to me and he stuck his finger in my bright green paint and put it all over his
Oh, how
face.
fun, okay.
And boy, his father was so mad. I practically had to run out of there.
But other Columbus scenes that you paint, you also paint some of Lake Bottom Park, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's
So-
not just that. You know, when they started all historical Columbus, I was there painting this whole house since
Okay.
1973 because the bank were giving very low interest whoever would buy those houses. So I had to show at the museum here just with the old Columbus houses. So we were pioneers there, beginning interest in the old historical Columbus.
Well, we just did a video not too long ago of Emily and Jim Trotter's house on Hilton Avenue, and they have a beautiful painting of this scene over their fireplace in their formal living room. So it's fun to see you, an international artist, painting Columbus scenes and seeing them in Columbus homes.
Look, beauty is everywhere. You
True.
just have to keep your open eyes and see it's there. They're lovely little spot in Columbus. I did a couple of paintings in museum here. I remember old Bagley store which doesn't exist with the Coca-Cola sign. I painted that almost 60 years ago. And there was another one with that statue in the front of Inglewood,
Okay.
Dinglewood, and
Oh, that is
it's
a good.
right hanging there in the
That's a
museum.
beautiful.
So as I said, beauty is everywhere, and if you have a desire to paint, and if you cannot live without it, you will paint anything.
Yes.